Welcome, everybody, back out here to Somerset Place. For this edition of our Lost Building series, we are standing out in the historic East Lawn. This was the formal outdoor entertaining space for the Collins family. There would have been two concentric racetracks for horses around the East Lawn here, surrounding a grove of shade trees. This is where invited guests for the Collins family would be enjoying recreational opportunities in warmer weather. Now, after the Civil War, a lot of the East Lawn was reclaimed as farmland. And then when the federal government purchased Somerset Place in 1937 as part of the Farm Security Administration, they ultimately decided to build an administration and community building out here in the East Lawn. Now, the FSA was a resettlement program for poor farmers, trying to lift them out of the Great Depression by allowing them to rent 40-acre tracts of land. In addition to supplying these people with houses, they also supplied them with this community building out here. This was built around 1938, and it was a substantial structure. It totaled about 6,500 square feet, which is almost as large as the Collins home. It was a one-story T-shaped structure, wood frame. It had clapboard siding, wooden paneling on the interior, as well as the ceilings, which were about 8 feet tall. It had a total of 7 offices for administration personnel here, as well as an auditorium with a stage and a dressing room, a total of 4 toilets and 14 plumbing fixtures. So a pretty substantial structure here at that time. And it was built right in the middle of the historic East Lawn, unfortunately. And so the FSA built a couple access roads for this building out here that went around the structure and ultimately reunited in the southeastern corner of the lawn. And so the building itself, as well as these roads, proved to be very destructive in terms of obliterating what was left of the historic features, not only here in the East Lawn, but also where these roads ultimately ran through the enslaved community and obliterated some of the remains out there. And so this building would prove to be very destructive whenever archaeological excavations were done later on. Now, in terms of the community building itself, this would have only served the white clients of the resettlement administration here. And it was used by the community council when they were hosting annual field days. They put up exhibits inside of the structure talking about history, health, women's clubs, Somerset Place, agriculture, and other aspects of life at that time. Now, when the Farm Security Administration ultimately sold off this property in 1945, the community building was purchased by Pettigrew State Park's first superintendent, Tom Davenport. He ultimately wanted to turn this building into a lodge for hunters as well as a recreational center, but ultimately he was unable to amass the resources to do so, and he had to sell the building to the state of North Carolina about a year later. And so the building, we believe, was vacant ultimately until it was demolished around 1954 as part of William Tarleton's restoration efforts here at Somerset Place. And so only a partial piece of the foundation remains here behind me. There were also 2 adjacent structures that we believe were supporting the functions here in the administration building. We're not entirely sure about the usage of those 2 structures, although some documents from the 1950s indicate that they may have been the heating plant and the well house for the community building here. Those 2 buildings were located near a graveyard from the Collins era that actually housed the grave of their first governess, Sarah Hauser, who passed away in 1838. She is the only person that we have been able to identify who was buried there, although many others were as well. And so those 2 buildings located near that grave site, they were ultimately torn down around the same time as this community building, but some of the foundations still remain today. And so that's a little bit about the administration and community building here for the FSA. And we hope that if you guys are interested in the modern history of the site, that you will join us for our 50th Jubilee celebration coming up on Friday, September 6th. We're going to be offering a special new guided tour that covers the post-Civil War history of the site, including the Farm Security Administration. That tour is going to be offered at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Friday, September 6th. And so we hope that you'll join us for that special event here at Somerset Place. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our channel, and we hope that you'll join us out here real soon.